Okay, in this video, we're going to go ahead and do some extruding, and then we're going to create an orthographic drawing. So let's go ahead and start with extrude. And I'm going to show you what I think is the easiest way to complete this extrusion. I'm going to go ahead and jump over here to my front view. And as we've talked about this before, there should be a nice blue, an outline with kind of a green shading on the inside. If you're not noticing that you cannot select the front view as I'm selecting, then you are missing a line, arc, and or spline to complete the outline of your car. So you have to go back to the front view. So I'm fine here. I'm going to go ahead and just click on this once. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to first change the direction so it's flipped. I'm then going to tell it to go through all and to actually extrude kind of the opposite. You can see it's kind of deleting, not extruding. I'm actually going to change this to intersect. So once again, I had it flipped, through all, intersect. I'm going to hit OK. Perfect. Now, keep in mind that this is just one piece of the puzzle here. I'm not going to do the bottom of my car. So I'm going to go over here to front. Things are going to act kind of funny here, so just bear with me here. I'm going to go ahead and click that once, click that a second time. Let me zoom in here. Let me click it one more time. There it is. And let's do that again. So let's go ahead and select extrude. Once again, we talked about this in the last video. This should be a complete outline, which means in turn it turns green. If you're not seeing this selected, you're missing some line, arc, or curve to make a complete outline of your bottom view. I'm good to go. I'm going to click. And it's hard to really see what's happening here, so just bear with me here. Once again, I'm going to go ahead and select flipped. I'm going to go ahead and select through all. And I'm going to go ahead and select intersect. Okay? Flipped, through all, intersect. I'm going to hit OK. All right, this is going to be interesting. I'm finally going to see what my car looks like, so things are going to go a little crazy there. I'm going to hit the home key, and beautiful. Now, keep in mind there's some geometry here that we may or may not want. We're not going to really worry about that. We're just going to keep things very simple here. So I understand there's this pink line and there's this outline as this front view. Things can be made visible and, for lack of a better word, invisible, but we're going to leave it as it is for now. I'm going to go ahead and save my drawing. Now we're going to start the orthographic. So with your drawing saved, please make sure it's been saved. Anything you do not like needs to be changed before you move forward. So we're going to go to File, New, and this time we're going to select a drawing file. Give it just a moment. You can always see inventors doing something if down here in the bottom left-hand corner you're seeing some information. Okay, first things first. This paper is too big and it's got some things on it we don't want. So we're going to right-click on this ANSI large. Right-click on it and please hit Delete. We're going to leave the border. The sheet needs to be resized. So we're going to right click on sheet 1 and we're going to select edit sheet. So we're going to be printing on 8.5 by 14 paper. So under size, please change this to custom inches. Very important, custom size inches. Okay, the height, once again, is going to be 8.5. The width, in this case, the length of the paper is going to be 14 because we're going to leave it on landscape. So please hit OK. Beautiful. Now, I'm going to go ahead and click on this option called Base View. You'll notice that it automatically brings in the drawing that's currently open that I was working on last. I need to change the scale so it's actual size. So click on Scale and please select 1:1. Very important. I'm going to go ahead and select OK. Beautiful. Now I can take my left mouse button. As you can see here, I have this little dotted red line. If you don't see it, just hover over it. Move this down a little bit. Just give yourself some space for what's going to happen next. And we could always reorient this. Now, don't get caught up on all these extra lines you see. This is where curves and arcs and faces are all kind of changing shape. All we really want to focus on is this outline of your car, along with obviously these axle holes. CO2 cartridge housing obviously is now the actual hole that's been drilled. This is that safety zone thickness. This should be a bare minimum at this point of 6, which it definitely is. So let's get projected. And when you get it projected, you need to basically just hover over the front view. And if you move above it, you don't have to click it yet, just move above it, click a second time with your left mouse button. Nothing happens here, so sometimes you have to right click and hit create. So once again, I hovered over my front view, I moved up, I left clicked, and then I right clicked, and I'm going to hit this create button. There it is. Now, as we mentioned earlier, if something isn't where you want it, you can always go ahead and continue to move it. As you can see here, I can click on that red dotted line. As I move this around, it always keeps the views aligned. That's what orthographic drawing is all about, aligning views. So this looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and save my work. The beauty is if I just hit this save option here, it automatically saves it with the same file name. The difference now is it's a DWG file. This is a drawing file. This is why you do not see your inventor file, because we're not using the inventor part file. We're using an inventor drawing file. So you're only seeing drawing files. So don't change anything unless this is incorrect, but it should be saved in your CO2 Dragster folder. Let's hit save. Now let's add some dimensions. Now this is very important. It thinks we're drawing in inches. So we're going to go to Tools, Document Settings, and where it says default standard, we need to change this to millimeters. Very important before you start your first dimension that it's in metric. There it is. I'm going to hit OK. And here's how you can test this theory. If we now go to our annotate, and we make our first dimension, I'm going to click here. Let's do DB2. We're going to go in order here. DB2 is from the back of your car body to the front of your car body, and if you recall, this dimension was somewhere here. There it is. You can see that is in metric. If you do not see that, please hit Control Z and go back to Tools, Document Settings, and please fix that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and add the dimension of DB5. So now it's going to be where we have our axles in relation to the car body width. So it's from here, click, here, click. Let's jump back here. I have 42. Once again, the axle is typically here and here are two different types of construction lines. The one in the middle is our axle, so it's usually click here, click here. This should be between 35 and 42. So something I'm going to do here, I'm going to bring up the specs that I've done so far. I've done DB2, which is body length. I've done DB5, which is body width at axles front and back. Now I'm going to do DB7. We actually showed this dimension also twice. So let me go back here, and this is going to be a dimension that may or may not work always the way I like it to work. So let's just see what happens here. I could try to click here, and I could try to click here. And you can see it does something really, really odd. So I'm going to go ahead and hit my escape key. But if I do this on my top view, it seems to work actually every single time, because this is a line and this is a spline and an arc. So let me just show you how this should look. Click, click, and you can see here that says 14. That's the thinnest part of my car body between the rear and front axle. The problem with doing that here is this will happen. Watch this. Let's say I think the thinnest point is here, click, to here, click, and it just doesn't always work. Let me see if I can make it not work here again. Let's try something like this, there we go. So it does something really funny here. So I'm going to hit my escape key. So here's a solution that we have that could actually work out really, really well. I'm going to go to the sketch tool, and I'm going to create 2 points. So I'm going to click point. You'll notice it says where do you want to create a sketch. So let's just click anywhere on the front view. You're going to use this technique a few times. It's okay you have this big plus symbol. It's okay. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to locate where I think the thinnest point is, which we'll just say is right about here. Click. Now I'm going to find another point, which I'm going to say I think is right about here. So we're going to kind of estimate what the thinnest part of our car. So you can see I have a point and I have a point. Now, with these 2 points, I'm actually going to go back to annotate. And oops, I'm going to go ahead and hit finish sketch first. There we go. Now I'm going to go back to annotate. I'm going to dimension. Now it's going to find these points because when I hover, just watch. Boom, it found one. Click. When you come over here, just hover, and you're going to see a little green dot up here. Click. There we go. Now we have control. Now I'm going to move a slightly over to the right. I like that slight angle. It's a little bit more accurate. I'm going to click again. And there is DB7 in our front view. A little bit of a tricky step if you have angle curves or arcs, or in this case a spline. So we're going to keep moving forward, and I'm going to go ahead and jump down now to my A's, axles. So I'm going to do center of axle hole above the car. I'm going to do axle hole from the back to the rear, from the front to the front axle, and the distance between the two axles. So a lot of information there. Let's do this real quick. Let's do a dimension. Once again, it's from the bottom of the car, click, to the center, click. I'm going to move away. I'm going to put a dimension somewhere over here. There it is. And now it's going to be from the back of the car body. You can really click anywhere here, but I'm going to click right here on this corner, the back of the car body, to the center, click, move away, and remember, careful, don't put that angle in. You want a nice horizontal dimension. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer. There we go. This is going to be A4, click center, once again move down. I like these to align, so I usually don't put one above or below, just align it perfectly, 150. And this is from the center to the front of your car. Now some of your front might be floating up here a little bit, that's fine, just click on it. And once again, it goes like that. Excellent. Let's go back to our specs. That was A2, A3, A4. Let's take a look at A6. A6 has actually three specifications, excuse me, three measurements. This can be a little tricky once again, so watch this. I'm going to click in the center. I'm then going to click at the top of my car body. This is probably not going to work. Nope, doesn't want to play nice. So once again, go back to sketch. Let's do a point. Let's hover. Let's zoom in, and let's put that point right here. Click. There it is. Finish sketch. Let's go back to annotate dimension. Let's see if we can find our point this time. Okay, this one doesn't seem to want to work, so I'm just going to come back to this one. Your teacher might have a better solution to that. All right, let's just move on. Let's add a few more dimensions. A6 also in the top works like this. It's click at the furthest point to the left of your axle, furthest point to the right of your axle. I'm going to hover over, boom, come here in the back. Once again, this is your axle, so take the furthest point to the right, click, to the furthest point on the left, click. Usually this number should be at least 12 if it's been done correctly. All right, we're just about done here. That was A6, minimum thickness. The only thing we have left to do here is our P3 power plant safety zone thickness. So I'm going to go ahead and keep my dimension tool selected. So let's just keep an eye on what's going to happen here. This is from the inside of the CO2 cartridge hole. Click. To the thinnest part of your car body around it. Click. And then I'm going to put this number here. I'm going to ask you to refer to your paper just to understand where this information needs to go. So once again, I'm going to click on the inside of the cartridge hole. And if I'm not sure if this is thicker or thinner than this, well, I can dimension it twice. Click, click. That says 6. Click, click. That also says 6. Let's not show this dimension twice. Let's just show it once. Since it's both 6 and 6, let's just show it once. And that's it. Okay. I'm going to do two little things here. I'm going to click on this thing called center. This is very important. I'm going to put a center mark in the dead center of my axles. This can help me when I mark and drill them. Very important step. Once again, this is called center mark. And now I'm going to click on the text tool. I'm going to click somewhere in this bottom right hand corner. And with my caps lock key on, I'm going to go ahead and type in my first and last name, and then I'm going to put PD1 for first period. If I hit my escape key a few times, you can always move things as long as you get out of the tool you're in. I'm just going to put that down here, and that looks great. Okay, it looks like I'm done. All right, so I'm going to go ahead now and hit the Save tool. And if you are ready to print and your teacher has given you the thumbs up to print, it goes something like this: File, print, by default, Mr. Eggers and I use an HP 4100 printer, so make sure that's been selected. By default, it should come up. We do want 2 copies, but something we have to change is the type of paper we're using. So please click on Properties. Usually it finds the paper we want, not always. So we're going to change it to a, not letter, we want a legal size paper. Very important, legal size, or your drawing will come out on 2 sheets of paper. So we want OK. Once again, 2 copies. HP 4100. Make sure it's the room number. I'm in C125. Mr. Eggers is in C127. I'm going to hit OK, and I should now be getting 2 copies sent to a printer. You are done. Go ahead and save it one last time. Go get started.